Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
A very good morning to Kenyan citizens. Welcome, and this is the Current Affairs segment, your trusted source for the latest news, insightful discussions, and impactful stories shaping our nation and beyond. I'm Angela Kabete, and together with Mushai Eric, we're going to dive into what has been happening and uncover the truth behind the news. So make sure that you stay tuned as we break it down right here, right now. Mushai Eric, a very good morning to you.
Good morning too.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I thank God because of His grace that has been sufficient in our lives.
Happy new month.
Happy new month. Hatujapatana hii mwezi.
Hatujapatana, I mean.
Yeah, but tunashukuru. Natumai ulikuwa na madaraka celebration ambayo ilikuwa njema. Yeah.
Okay, saluti watazamaji.
Yeah, mine is just to thank all the viewers kwa kuweza kuungana nasi asubuhi ya leo, na natumai ya kwamba mko wazima na pia sisi tuko wazima, tukaweza kujua mambo ambayo yanaendelea katika taifa letu and also beyond the boundaries of our nation. And if you're joining us now, thank you so much. You can send us an SMS on our SMS line on 0799200100, and we'll be glad to make the conversation going.
Yeah. But before we look at the state of our nation, it is always a norm to give you that is the verse of the day, an encouragement for you as our viewer. And today's verse comes from Jeremiah 1:5, and I read, this is what it says. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as the prophet to the nations. Yes, before you were born. Mungu alikuwa anakujua. And this verse records God's call to Jeremiah, explaining that his role as a prophet, a prophet of many nations. And it was showing that Jeremiah's call was not just random, it was very intentional. God had purposed that, God had planned that. And inaanza kwa kusema, before I formed you, I knew you. This expresses God's acknowledgement that before ulizaliwa, God knew you, God knew about you, okay? And the fact that anasema that before I formed you, I knew you. Hapa, the term knew, know, it often implies that if you know someone deeply, it means that you have a relationship with this person, you have a deep relationship, you have an intimacy with this person. And now, in this aspect, you're talking about our God. And then it continues and says that, before you're born, I set you apart. So in Jeremiah alikuwa anaambiwa, it meaning that Jeremiah was consecrated and he was set aside for his purpose. Even you, before you were born, Mungu alikuset apart for your purpose, because trust me when I tell you, kila mtu akona the godly ordained purpose. So ask yourself this morning, do you really know your purpose? Do you know the purpose that God has for you? And then it continues and says that I appointed you as a prophet of nations. It means that Jeremiah's mission wasn't limited to one group. His message would have a broader significance even beyond that is Israel. So this verse, what is bringing out, the fact that you know, sasa juu tumesoma hii verse, God knew you before you're born. God set you apart before you were born. It shows that his value, God values you, okay? And that's why each and every day you're supposed to ask yourself, the kind of life that I'm living, the things that I'm doing as a Christian, as a believer, am I truly ordained for the divine purpose that God has for you, or that God has for me? Yeah, that is what you're supposed to ask yourself, because from what you're getting here, We are all unique in one way or another, because we all have that is God's ordained purpose in our lives. What's your take on this verse, Eric?
This is a very powerful verse that shows us that in our lives inafaa tujue ya kwamba Mungu ametuandaa kwa sababu ya makusudi yake, na the moment we are born into this world, there is a purpose ambayo Mungu aliweza kuiprepare for us. Na anasema ya kwamba even before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Ya kwamba anakujua, he knows everything about you, he knows where you should be at a particular time. Na letu ni kuweza ku-align to the will of God, that whatever it is the will of God in our lives, that hiyo kitu itaweza ku-prevail in the long run of our lives. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is the verse of the day. And now let's look at the state of our nation, the fact that our spirits is quite refreshed and renewed from the verse that we have read. I have the Daily Nation with me.
I have the Standard.
And on today's Daily Nation, these are some of the matters that we'll be checking out. We're checking the key headline, that is matters to do with health, Ebola ndio tutaangalia. And then tutaangalia that is matters to do with the education sector. And the education sector tutaangalia that is the TSC. And then we're checking out that is politics, Sifuna ndio ako hapo, and Bwana Gachagua, and other stories as well. What about you?
In the Standard, we have stories about that young man that lost his life during the demos that were happening in Nanyuki. We also have matters about budget, the deficit that we have in matters about medical, and we also have matters about politics that we'll be looking at in the Standard.
Okay.
Yes.
And now let's start with the Daily Nation. And as I said, one of the key headlines that is matters to do with health, and it reads that health watch. Okay, and then the person that is here specifically ni our president, that is Ruto, and it reads that Ruto, this is what he said: I allowed US to bring Ebola patients. Now he's acknowledging that, and then we have that is different things that have been highlighted here, and I'm going to read them briefly. They're calling it owning up. President Ruto acknowledges he accepted the request by the President Trump for Kenya to host quarantine and treatment facility for Americans exposed to Ebola at Laikipia Air Base in Nanyuki, and even as public opposition plan public opposition to plan grows. And then we have that is after he owned up to that, Pia, we heard that is now the court order. High Court extends orders blocking setting up for Ebola isolation and isolation unit and admission into Kenya of persons exposed to or infected with Ebola. State directed to make a public the secret agreement with the US, because it's very unfortunate. This is something that was done in private, and then the time that they're going to implement hapo ni wanaambia wananchi, you know what, we'll be setting up this at Laikipia, that is in Nanyuki. It's very unfortunate, and that's why wanaambia they make it in public, the state agreement that was made, because it seems there was no aspect of public participation. And then we have that is they're calling it too little too late. A US official says that is Saturday's court decree came as flights carrying American specialists and kits were airborne, and confirms foundation's work on Ebola unit. I believe that is I think on Saturday up and Sunday you saw on social media people had posted that is kuna ndege ambazo zilionekana, and there were claims zilikuwa that is zimebeba watu wa Ebola, but there's a confirmation here that ilikuwa imebeba that is Ebola specialist and units that is from the States. And then we have that is the statement from our president William Ruto, and this is what he said. When President Trump asked the government to of Kenya to support them by having a center in Laikipia Air Base, I gave the okay. So he gave the okay. Who was involved in this okay nani walikuwa, with the aspect of participation from different people. And huwa wanasema that the president akona more than 50 plus advisors. Well, these 50 plus advisors are involved in this because ukiangalia that is the court order. They're saying that walisema this is something that was done privately, and people need to understand that is the state agreement that was made. But we can see that the president just gave a simple statement, akasema yeye according to yeye kuona shida, and it said it is okay. And ukiangalia recently kumekuwa that is public concerns and protests from some Kenyans who fear the risk of Ebola entering the country. And the question is, people have been asking, are we strong enough? Are we prepared enough as a nation to handle that is Ebola crisis? Because malaria yenyewe imetushinda ku sustain, okay? Tukipata outbreak yenyewe ya typhoid, SHA itself is staggering. Are we prepared as a nation enough to handle that is Ebola? Or are we risking our own people, okay, in the name of, you know, partnership with or supporting other nations? You know, the fact that probably we are too kind or too good as a nation, this is something that needs to be considered. And nikiangalia hapa, unaona sisi as a nation tulikubali, the president mwenyewe alikubali, but we have that is the US secretary, the US secretary of state, that is anaitwa Marco, and sisi tulikubali, but this is a statement from the US secretary. Yasema, we cannot and will not allow any cases of Ebola to enter the United States. You know, it's funny enough, they're protecting their own nation, but sisi tunakubali, because the statement is said, we cannot and will not allow any cases of Ebola to enter the United States. So wao hatakubali, but we're being brought Ebola patients that is in our nation. This study that is very interesting. It is sparkled debate that is on social media. People have said different things, and the issue has become that is both the public health and political discussions, with citizens questioning the safety implications of the decisions that led to this. Mbaka the president akakubali, and you know this is going to bring an impact to a nation. Yeah, probably this may, according to them, probably this might strengthen that is diplomatic relations with international partners. In quotes, we're talking about that is the United States. But how far are we willing to go? How far as a nation are we willing to go in the name of that is relations, diplomatic relations with other countries? And I don't know what you think about this, Eric. You have heard what I've read. What the US Secretary alisema, the US Secretary of State, this is what alisema: we cannot and will not allow any cases of Ebola to enter the United States. And then ukiangalia the other way around, what they want to bring that is patients in our country. What do you have to say about this, or what's clicking in your mind when I'm reading these statements?
This is a very serious issue, because ukiangalia katika that particular story, unajiuliza ya kwamba if they are not Americans wamekataa wale watu ambao wako na Ebola, and they are citizens of America, who are we to receive them? Because as a nation, we have a lot of challenges. Katika gazeti la The Standard nimeona ya kwamba we have a deficit in matters about SHA. Na some of the teachers and other public officials are not going to receive that funding ya SHA, and this is something ambayo imeweza pia kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili. And we see we have a lot of challenges, and we don't have facilities that the United States of America wako nazo. They need to work on this, and some of the leaders were asking, why don't they build this facility in Congo, because that particular area imekuwa affected, so that it can help also the people that are there in Congo to be able to get that medication, na pia that quarantine facility ikaweza kusaidia hiyo mataifa ambayo imekumbwa nayo. So it is something that imeweza kukua an issue, because there is that court order ambayo iliweza kutolewa yesterday, because we knew that the court iliweza kutoa from Milimani Court. There was that order that was given by that judge, na akasema ya kwamba they need to get all the report about that particular deal ambayo iko na from the Kenyan government and the United States of American government, and also wakaweza kusimamisha that particular facility from any construction. And I know there were leaders ambao waliweza kutumwa in that facility in Nanyuki, but they were denied access. So it is something that in a trigger a lot of conversation, because are we not honoring court orders as a nation? Because when you see such a very ni kitu ambacho kiko katika limelight ya wananchi na wanataka kujua ukweli, and when we see that there is secret deals ambazo zinaendelea, it is something that questions about the security of our nation. Because if we can really do something like this na tukaweza kufanya a certain project that is going to affect millions of Kenya while we are protecting our diplomatic relationships, inaweza ku question even how we do our deals with other countries. And this is something ambayo as a nation we really need to have a conversation, and public participation is very important. Yes.
And you know, it's funny because I saw somebody had commented about this on social media, and alikuwa anasema, because specifically we're talking about matters to do with health. If you can recall, the US walitukatia, that is the USAID fund, when Kenya needed it the most, and now the president was bringing the aspect of diplomatic relationships. So where does it apply all around tukiangalia on that matter, if we're to look at this issue in that angle? Na pia wananchi watuambie maoni yako ni yapi, you know, what do you think about this? Do you think this is should we consider it as a way of strengthening our diplomatic relationship with the US? This is something that you disagree as a Kenyan citizen. I really want to hear your comment. That is on 0799 100. And away from matters to do with Ebola, what do you have there?
Katika gazeti la The Standard we have that particular story bado ya Ebola. Lakini on this issue wameweza kuangalia some of the families mourn loved ones as calm return to Nanyuki town. And we know that there were protests ambazo zilikuwa zinaendelea katika maeneo hayo ya Nanyuki, and protests over Ebola, a proposed Ebola quarantine facility at Laikipia Air Base left 2 people dead, several injured and disrupted trade. And when chaos succeeded, grief, anger and answered questions remained among the affected families, because we saw there were young men ambao waliweza kukua shot on that particular demonstration ambayo iliweza kufanyika in that particular area ya Nanyuki. And we see katika gazeti hili wameweza kusema at Baraka Shopping Center, that is in Nanyuki, the family of 27-year-old Charles Mwangi is grappling with shock, devastation after he was allegedly shot dead during the Monday evening chaos. According to his relatives, Mwangi was not involved in the demonstration, and simply he was going about his normal routine, ambapo waliweza kukutana na kisa hicho ambacho waliweza kupigwa risasi katika eneo hilo na akaweza kuangamia. And katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia some of the people ambao walikuwa shot on that particular demos ambazo zilikuwa zinaendelea katika eneo hilo. And now some of the relatives waliweza kuzungumza wakasema he was not participating in that particular demos, na tunaona ya kwamba we see he was walking to work, he was not part of any protest. Suddenly there was a gunfire and he fell, and that is one Charles Wanjoi ambaye is a close friend of Charles Mwangi ambaye aliweza kupigwa risasi katika eneo hilo. And now some of the leaders are now questioning and urging the government to give a proper information about the incidences that surrounded that particular death ambayo iliweza kutokea katika eneo hilo. And some of the leaders inasema that wakaweza kusema in a separate incident, another family in Majengo demanding justice for 20-year-old James Githenji who was shot in the leg during the same demonstration. Na wameweza kusema kwamba these particular youths hawakuwa na participate in that particular demos ambazo zilikuwa zinaendelea, na wanasema kwamba he was he was just playing football with his friends. He was demonstrating, he was not demonstrating, he is just a young boy. And wakaweza kusema kwamba they want answers and accountability from the security apparatus on this particular incident ambayo iliweza kusababisha some of them even to be shot kwa miguu and other parts. Na tunaangalia katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia some of the issues ambazo zile happen in that particular demo on that fateful day on Monday. And also wameweza kusema ya kwamba some of the leaders are now asking the government to produce a clear information about some of the people ambao walikuwa shot in those particular incidences in those particular areas ya Nanyuki and the surrounding areas katika maeneo hayo. Angela.
That's very unfortunate.
Yes.
But pia I think Kenyans should be wakijua kuna maandamano, tafadhali stay at home if you're not participating that is in the protest. But I think all that we can say is condolences to the family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And away from that, on other stories, matters to do with the education sector is something that I said we're going to check out. That is on page 6 of the Daily Nation. And they're calling it change. Yeah. And this is something that is very interesting but very unfortunate at the same time. A change. Teachers were last year moved from the privately run Minute cover to the government-run SHA scheme. Okay, so this is a change that happened, that is last year. But how has the transition been of late? How has it looked like? Has it really served its purpose? You know, because many teachers walikuwa wanaandamana because of that, matters to do with SHA and everything. And right now, what I'm having here on the Daily Nation, a 5.3 billion funding gap threatens teachers' insurance cover. This is that is very sad because teachers depend on that is medical insurance for access to healthcare, and now funding challenges have occasionally affected that is service delivery. And tukiangalia pa, they're saying that they're having that is 5.3 billion funding gap. So what is likely to happen? And then there is a statement from teachers MP, that is teachers MP and Julius Amelia Lisema that there is no provision in the budget for group life cover, group personal accident, and WIBA covers for teachers. And MPs want teachers may be exposed to increased out-of-pocket expenditures. Yeah, you know, right now ndio tunapanga that is the budget 2026 2027, and that's why naona hapa pia they're saying that actually they've clarified in year 2026 2027, and to read that there is no provision of the budget of group life, personal accident, and WIBA covers for teachers. This committee was chaired by that is Tinderet MP Julius Melly, observed in a report of the TSC estimates for the 2026-2027. And anasema that it is critical that resources are made available to the commission to cater fully for the medical cover, since it touches the well-being of the teachers. The committee reports a lead. All right. And nikiangalia hapa pia, they have clarified, or they're given us a figure that is on the 2026-2027 financial year. Wamekiwa that is 422.6 billion allocated to the TSC for the TSC financial year, which will largely cater for teachers' remuneration and implementation of the comprehensive bargain agreement obligations. And the committee noted that after the commission shifted from private insurance to SHA, a saving of 4 billion was realized, and if the saving is provided by the National Treasury, it could be redirected towards providing group life cover for the teachers. So probably this is why they were brought to SHA, because unaona, yeah, after the teachers were let kwa SHA, 4 billion was saved, but they believe that probably if ikikuwa redirected, it could be it could be redirected towards providing that is group life cover for teachers. This is something that is on the, being discussed, that is on the Daily Nation page 6. I don't know, probably you're a teacher and you're watching us. How are you feeling about this? Because what is being reported here is what you're expecting in the new budget here, the 2026-2027 financial year, and you're talking about a short gap. Yeah, pesa, and report the budget shortfall could leave many teachers without adequate medical cover. It means that you as a teacher, itabidi urudi kwa mfuko ukienda hospitalini. Yeah, because kuna benefits zenye hakuna, kama za group life covers zimetolewa, WIBA hakuna. So how are you feeling about this as a teacher? What do you think about this? Because this is going to bring a great impact, because teachers may struggle to access that is healthcare. Kutakuwa na increased concern about educators and their families, and pia kunaweza kuwa na that is potential disruption in the education sector, because tuliona the moment that teachers, they shifted from that is the cover that they had to that is SHA, kulikuwa na there were a lot of conversations. Teachers were not satisfied with it. And now tukiangalia hapa right now, we're talking about a shortfall or a gap when it comes to matters to do with finances and this insurance ya walimu. So what do you think about this? Because we cannot fail to acknowledge that teachers play a vital role in shaping the society and also ensuring that is quality to ensuring that wanafunzi wote wamepata that is education. So the government, I think they also need to ensure that the teachers they have that is access to health, quality health, and not just an employment issue. I really want to hear from you as a Kenyan citizen. Yeah, Eric.
Yes, and that matter, Angela, ambao umeweza kuangazia pia iko katika gazeti hili, and there is one aspect of that particular issue ambayo imeweza pia kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, because we have capitation crisis in matters about the education sector, and we see that 57 billion school capitation funding gap in the next financial year budget is which threatens learning across all levels in basic education. And this is something that is really going to affect the education system, because we've seen we have a deficit in matters about IEBC, we have a deficit in matters about education, and also deficit in matters about SHA and in cover that cover ambayo inatumika na walimu, and it is something ambayo imeweza pia kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili. On other issues, issue ambayo imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti la the Standard, tunaona that Mount Kenya leaders accuse Ruto of ethnic profiling. Mount Kenya leaders accuse Ruto of ethnic profiling, kama vile imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, and we see leaders alleged government sponsors violence and divides gamer communities. And this particular story imeweza kuangaziwa in page 7 ya gazeti la The Standard, na tunaona ya kwamba in page 5 ya gazeti la The Standard, na tunaona ya kwamba some of the leaders waliweza kuzungumza na wakasema this is something that has been sponsored against the Mount Kenya region. Na katika gazeti hilo wanasema some Mount Kenya region leaders allied to former deputy president, that is Rigathi Gachagua, have accused President William Ruto of ethnic profiling against communities from the Mount Kenya region. The leaders, led by Democracy for Citizens Party DCP Secretary General designate, that is John Medhu, alleged that Ruto had orchestrated a 41 versus 1 kama vile imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, and a narrative to divide the Gema community which comprises of Gikuyu, Embu, Meru and Tharaka communities, kama vile imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili. And you see katika gazeti hili wameweza kusema they describe the president as of the ruling United Democratic Alliance, that is the president and the ruling United Democratic Alliance Secretary General, that is Hassan Omar, as notorious hate mongers and tribal terrorists, saying we do not know what bitter obsession the two leaders have with the people of Mount Kenya. And this is one of the issues ambayo imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili. And they also said the leaders ambao they included MPs, that is John Kagushia of Mukurweni, Edwin Mureu of Gatanga, Wanjiko Mohia of Kipipiri, and Senator John Methu of Laikipia, waliweza kusema ya kwamba they cited incidents in which the government allegedly sponsored violence to suppress the Gen Z protest and discourage peaceful demonstration, kama vile imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili. And those leaders waliweza kusema ya kwamba this is an attempt of isolating this particular region from other parts of this nation, na wakaweza kusema kwamba this is a plan ambayo imeweza kupangwa from they gave that allegation that is being prepared by the president and also the Secretary General of the United Democratic Alliance, that is Hassan Omar. Na katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia some of the issues ambazo wameweza kuurge even some of the leaders further claim they have received credible intelligence that the state will use goons to infiltrate the planned June 2026 Gen Z anniversary protest against finance bill, and this is one of the issues ambayo imeweza kuleta a lot of concerns. And pia pale chini wameweza kusema ya kwamba waliweza kuuliza the United Democratic Alliance leaders ambao waliweza kupea Isaac Omar, that is 48 hours to be able to resign. Wakaweza kusema ya kwamba you gave him 48 hours to resign, now it is more than 350 hours later, walk out if you are men and women enough. And that is the issue. Na wakaweza kusema ya kwamba they need to they also called about why haven't you called on Amason Kingi, John Mbadi, Kithure Kindiki and William Ruto to resign. Na wakaweza kuuliza that particular question to the government leaders, na wakaweza kusema kwamba the leaders questioned why the government allies had not condemned Senate Speaker that is Amason Kingi, Mbadi and Senator Aaron Cheriot over alleged tribal remarks targeting Mount Kenya. And this is one of the areas ambayo imeweza kuangaziwa katika gazeti hili, and some of them wameweza kusema ya kwamba they need to see balance in matters about accusation ambayo imeweza kutolea kwamba when we talk about tribal remarks it should cut across all the regions na all the political parties. Angela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And away from that, another stories matters to do with the economy and matters to do with finances. Yeah. That is talking about that is the public debt in our country, and that story is on page 22 of the Daily Nation, and it reads that finance domestic borrowing adds 340 billion as treasury restructures maturing obligations. And in addition to that, public debt stock rises by 533 billion in 3 months. You know, Kenya has been borrowing money for many years to finance that is development projects, infrastructure, education, healthcare, and to bridge that is budget deficits when government spending exceeds that is revenue collection. And you know, the government borrows that is from local bank and investors. That is what we call domestic debt. You have that is then foreign governments, that is the external, and then we have that is international institutions such as that is the IMF and the World Bank, that is International Monetary Fund. And in recent year, tumeona Kenya's debt has continued to grow due to increase that is government spending, repayment of older loans, budget deficits, economic challenge, and that slowed that is government revenue collection. And Kiagale, that is now the current situation that we have, or what you're reading right now on the Daily Nation. According to this report, Kenya's public debt increased by approximately that is 533 billion within just 3 months. And now the question is this, imekuwa hivi ni 533 billion, but can we see the work of this money? Hii pesa inaenda wapi? You know, I believe these are the questions that Kenyans are asking themselves. And if this is the case, it means that the Treasury has borrowed more money than it is supposed to borrow. Yeah, this is what it means. And some borrowing may have been used to refinance or repaying that is maturing loans, and the total debt burden on the country continued to rise. This is that is very unfortunate, because government officials often argue that borrowing helps to maintain services and fund development, while critics worry about the pace of debt accumulation if it's not paid on time. And the reason I'm saying it's very unfortunate, if the external debt imekuwa mingi, it means that the government probably they might consider that is the most domestic debt. I talk about domestic debt, we're talking about that is internal borrowing. And it means that wakikujia internal that is domestic debt, being loan or lending facilities, they'll consider that is compare the government loan. And it means that you as a Kenyan citizen will be affected. Probably you're asking how. You being affected, it means that when you pay the government, the interest ya loans ya wewe mwananchi, wewe ukienda kuchukua mwananchi itakuwa high, because most of them they'll be considering to give that is the government loan. So this that is very sad. And then in the Daily Nation, they have accounted, or they have given us key figures. External debt climbed to that is from 5.646 trillion to 5.68 trillion. We're talking about that is in 3 months. So this is something that is very interesting, something that is bringing a lot of impact and sparkling conversation that is on social media, because in a later impact on Kenya citizens, and probably in a letter that is matters to do with it can lead to high taxes, because they need the government to need more money to repay this that is this debt ambayo tuko nayo about that is the debt that we have that is as a nation, kunaweza kuwa na increased levies. I'm talking about the possibilities, expansion of the tax base, and probably ukiangalia that is on the current proposed finance bill that we have, the government is focusing so much on collecting more revenue kila mahali, yani they're making kila mahali wanachota chota to repay the debt that we have as a nation. Na probably if the money that we're getting as a nation, instead of bringing development ndio inatumika kulipa madeni, it means that we'll be having that is less development in our nation, and pia the kunaweza kuwa that is increased cost of living, and also it might impact that is the coming generation or the future generation, because you can agree with me, today's debt, it's not today's issue peke yake, because we have that is future governments wanasema oh niliachiwa madeni na the current government. I believe this is something that you can relate with. Eric, we're talking about debt in our country. The public debt imeongezeka, and the rate imeongezeka, it's high because we're talking about that is 533 billion in 3 months. But when you look at the debt yenye tumeomba and what we are having kwa ground, they're two different things. That is because debt inafaa kuleta development in our country. So what do you think about this?
Me personally, what I'm thinking about this particular issue, kukuwa na deni si mbaya.
Okay.
But the issue is, what are you doing with that particular data ambayo umeweza kuchukua, because we cannot account for a lot of money that has been taken loans from internationally and also locally. We cannot be able to account for that particular amount of money ambazo zimekuwa zikichukuliwa in loans. And now a lot of Kenyans are questioning, because it is something ambayo pia wananchi wako na concern, because the amount of money ambayo tunachukua kama taifa, we are not able to account for those the expenditure at that particular the expenditure of that particular money. Na sasa ina question about accountability in our nation, and this is one thing ambayo as a nation we really need accountability. And also on another issue, Angela, there is that matter ambayo iliweza kuangaziwa pia recently katika magazeti, ambapo that state inachukua loans and ambayo it is not in public domain, hata public hawajui, and wanatumia hiyo loan to do other projects ambazo they were not intended to do those projects. So it is something pia ambayo imekuwa an issue katika recent past ambayo tumekuwa nayo katika taifa letu. And on other issues pia katika gazeti hili, as we wind up, state 30-day detention of utumishi girls arson suspects. Na tuliona ya kwamba yesterday wale wanafunzi ambao they are suspects on this particular arson case ambayo inaendelea, tuliona ya kwamba waliweza kukuwa presented on the court, na there were certain orders ambazo ziliweza kutolewa, and we saw that kulikuwa na that particular issue ambayo iliweza kuangaziwa pia, na wakaweza kusema that they are going to conceal, they are not going to reveal the faces of those particular students ambao waliweza kuparticipate in that particular issue. There are suspects in that particular issue, na wameweza kusema katika gazeti hili ya kwamba Naivasha Park Court Law Court tension hung heavily in the air as anxious parents and members of the public wanted to proceeding involving 9 students from Mutumishi High School, Gilgil, accused of arson that led to the deaths of the 16 other colleagues. Na katika gazeti hili wameweza kuangazia some of the issues, because we saw the DCI iliweza kuuliza ya kwamba for time, na some of the lawyers waliweza kuuliza if these particular students wataweza kuachiliwa for a while, and some of the lawyers wengine on the part of the government waliweza kusema they want the students to remain in detention because of the forensic investigation that is going on and other matters about getting information for this particular case ambayo inaendelea. Na katika gazeti hili imeweza kuangaziwa, na wameweza pia kuweka picha ya wale wanafunzi who have wameweza kucover their faces, because hawaku the court iliweza kusema ya kwamba they want them to be to have their identity sealed because of their own security and the security of their parents also.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as we wind up a little bit of politics, that is page 7 of the Daily Nation. I don't know kama umesikia hii msemo ya watu wanasema sisi ndio Sifuna, that is on social media. It's something that is being used mostly commonly, a term that is being used by the Gen Z. And in relation to that, on the Daily Nation page 7, it reads that how Sifuna wave is rattling old guard in Western Kenya. It seems that it's becoming more vocal than people expected, becoming more influential than people expected, especially on social media and also among the young generation, because for years the reason as to why they're saying how Sifuna wave is rattling old guard in Western Kenya is because for years the Western Kenya politics has largely been influenced or established by political figures and parties, leaders such as watu ambao kama, that is Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, and others have traditionally have been seen as the region's political heavyweight. But we can see recently there is a growing dissatisfaction among the young people and voters who feel they want new voices and new leadership styles and stronger opposition politics. And that's okay. That is, the article suggests that suggests a political wave associated with Edwin Sifuna and opposition politics is gaining attention in parts of the Western Kenya. And the key part here is younger voters are appearing and more willing to question that is a traditional political layer list. And that's why it reads that how Sifuna wave is rattling the old guard in Western Kenya. Yeah, I guess that is what we had to check out today on what has been happening, right?
Yeah, that is what we had to check out on katika magazeti siku ya leo, na tunashukuru ya kwamba umezidi kututazama. And Angela, I know we are having the annual Sonship Prayer Summit that will be happening here at Mizpah Prayer Center, na ninajua kwamba a lot of people are expectant of this particular meeting that will be happening here from the 22nd to the 26th of, that is, this particular month of June. And I know there are chosen leaders and men of God that will be ministering in this particular meeting ambayo itakuwa ikifanyika katika mlima huu wa Mizpah Prayer Center, led by Apostle Dr. Jesse Karanja and also Reverend Margaret Karanja. Na najua kwamba watu wengi wameweza kuona mkutano huu, the posters in our websites, na pia tumeona ya kwamba there are many people ambao wamekuwa kibarikiwa, because this is the third meeting that will be happening here at Mizpah Prayer Center. Yes.
And what wamekaribishwa, because this is a call to all pastors, prophets, bishop, church leaders, wote wamekaribishwa.
Yeah.
And for more information, please make sure that you get contact, that is 0727766553. And you have something to tell the viewers?
Mine is just to thank the viewers for having this time kuweza kuungana nasi katika kipindi hiki cha The Nuru Morning Show. Tunawatakia siku njema na utazamaji usiokuwa na bugdha. Mungu awabariki.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in for this segment, that is the current affairs. Always here every morning to making sure that you as a Kenya citizen out there is updated of what is happening, that is in our country and beyond. I'm Angela Kabete. Till next time, bye bye.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
sometimes it's unbearable. And we can choose to do the unthinkable.
Hapa Mungu anaweza saidia tu.
How about you try this instead?
You have been upgraded.
Here, burdens are lifted as soon as you step your feet on this holy ground.
You have been upgraded.
You are upgraded to wait upon and receive from God. Karibu Mizpah, your place of encounter with God.
I pray that with your eyes open in Jesus' mighty name to see that all things are possible. So all things are possible to them that are born again.
Je, unapenda kusikiza hadithi za kusisimua?
Nilitetemeka. Nikasema nikafanana na huyo mtu, leo nimeisha.
Ungana nami kwenye kipindi cha Juzi ya Kuogofya kwa hadithi za kusisimua, hadithi za kutisha, maisha ya watu waliopitia panda shuka za maisha, wengine hadi kufika kiwango cha kujitia kitanzi. Kwenye kipindi cha Juzi ya Kuogofya na kuletea hadithi kama hizi.
Wanga nakumbuka vizuri sana. Aliniambia kwanza kunywa chai.
He was the best male dancer, I was the best female dancer.
Watu wenye hadithi ambazo zilikuwa ni za juzi ya kuogofya, lakini Mungu anawatendea na wanakuwa na jana na leo ya kuvutia.
Na kweli wokovu wa Mungu na Biblia inaweza ikamuokoa. Inaweza ikakupigania.
Ungana nami Joseph Karanja kila siku ya Jumatano na Alhamisi saa 3 usiku kwenye kipindi ukipendacho cha Juzi ya Kuogofya. Usikose, kwa sababu kinabadilisha na hata kusisimua.
Ninaamini tunapotafuta uso wa Bwana, makusudi ya Mungu yanashuka, ulinzi wa Mungu unashuka. Wakati unaanza kuomba, mbingu inakuwa attentive kwa maombi ya watakatifu. Mbingu inakuwa attentive kwa maombi ya kila yeyote aombaye kwa imani.
We invite you to join our online family on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and on TikTok at Mizpah TV Kenya and Mizpah House of Prayer. And now we have great news. You can watch Mizpah TV anywhere on Twitch app, which is available on Google Play Store and Apple Store. For great inspiration in worship, word and prayer, and other entertaining and encouraging programs tailored for you. Welcome to our online family.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
Karibu sana mtazamaji kwenye kipindi ukipendacho cha Juzi ya Kuogofya. Ni kipindi ambacho hukuletea hadithi za kusisimua, hadithi ambazo zinakufunza mengi, hadithi ambazo zinaweza kukukanya pia mahali ambapo unaona ni kama umepoteza tumaini, pia zinakupea changamoto. Karibu sana mtazamaji, ninafurahia sana kuwa hapa kwenye Mizpah TV. Ni kipindi ambacho tangu kilipoanzia tumekuwa tukipata maripoti ya kwamba mtu fulani alikuja hapa, hadithi yake ikanijenga sana. Mwingine anasema alipoleta ule mwenye alikuwa kule kwenye magerezani, alipoongea bana, nilikuwa nimejengwa sana. Hivyo basi natumai ya kwamba hata leo hii, kwa sababu in studio I know I have an amazing guest, and I believe hata wewe ukipata hii hadithi ya huyu jamaa ambaye nimemjua kwa muda, lakini unajua mimi nimekuwa nikileta wengine ninawajua kwa ulevi, lakini vile nimemjua huyu jamaa, juzi yake ya kuogofya sijui sana. Hivyo basi hata mimi ni kama wewe tu pale, kugojea tusikize juzi yake ya kuogofya. Ingawaje kuna mahali tumekuwa na wakati mimi nilikuwa na juzi yangu ya kuogofya, kuna mali I tried to be rescued na nikajipata niko sehemu fulani. Hapo ndipo tulijuana na huyu jamaa mwenye yuko kwenye studio. On studio today niko na ndugu yangu Obimbo, ambaye tangu wakati tuliwachana, mimi niliwacha akiwa mtu a media person, anacheza na mambo ya cameras and all that. Pia he's also an MC and Obimbo pia sasa yuko kwenye masuala ya hotel. Ana deal na hoteli, atatuambia hapo baadaye. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana Obimbo.
Fine, thank you.
So this is Juzi ya Kuogofya.
Asante sana.
Hapa ni Mizpah TV. Sijui unajua bado unakuwa na damu ya Kauluya ndani yako. Unaweza sikia salimia mtazamaji basi.
Watazamaji pale nyumbani. Good morning. My name is Moses Obimbo. Wengi wananifahamu kama MC Obimbo. Na leo tuko hapa ndani ya Juzi ya Kuogofya naye MC Joseph Hanja.
Yes. Obimbo, kipindi ya Juzi ya Kuogofya, you know, me have known you tukiwa pale Kenya School of Sports and Talent. Yes. Ilikuwa hiyo KSTS. Hapo ndipo nilikujua and I've told people my story. Iko siku wakati niliona sasa pombe imenilemea, nilidecide kuenda mbali na pombe. Little did I know ninaenda pale kukutana na kina kwa nani walikuwa paitwa Geo Center Ngomongo. Kumbe nilikuwa kuja lapata Ngomongo ndio pombe iko mingi. Obimbo, hebu tusimulie hadithi yako tangia labda ulizaliwa wapi?
My name is Obimbo. Nimezaliwa hapa Nakuru, maeneo ya Kaloleni C. And baada ya kuzaliwa nikasomea Western. High school yangu nimekuwa in a school called Chesamisi Boys High School. Primary nimesomea mahali hapa tu. Around hapa kuna shule iko hapa juu. And then after hapo nikaenda high school nikasomea Western. Then nikiwa high school ndio nilianza kuwa mentored. I think from form 1 up to form 4 sijaifukuzwa shule kwa sababu ya indiscipline. The only time that nilifukuzwa shule maybe school fees. So I had to trek from, when you wanajua Western vizuri, from a place called Kamukuywa to Ebuye town, ndio at least nipate mati ya kuja Nakuru. Naye nikakuja Nakuru nikakaa for almost 2 months. So that forced me to repeat form 2. Naona. So after, to cut the long story short ya high school, najua after high school ndio sasa maisha inakuwa. Nikamaliza form 4. I was one of the best students in terms of literature, best students in terms of drama, best student in terms of co-curricular activities. So that motivated me. So after kutoka shule, mimi ndio huyu. Nimekuja huku nje sijuani na mtu. Nikaandikwa na kampuni ingine bana inaitwa sikumbuki, but that is immediately after high school. Immediately after high school ndio mimi nimekutana na jamaa akaniambia kuja tuko na kampuni inaandika watu kazi. Hizi zenye huwa wana stick posters kwa stickers kwa post. Mimi nikakuwa interested. Si nimemaliza shule. My friend nakwambia nilienda nikapatiwa Colgate zimejazwa hivi kwa bag. Colgate na sabuni za kuoga zenye hata hiyo kampuni sijaiona. Nikaambiwa ati sasa hapa unalipwa na commission. Mimi nikaona si nimemaliza shule nimekaa wiki 2, my mom bado alikuwa alive. Nikasema acha niambie madhe akaniambia sawa enda ufanye. Unaona from Kano Street tulitembea mpaka Ng'ambo. Kama unajua Ng'ambo penye tukatembea tukiuza hizo Colgate, mimi naye ni nani. Nika give up na siku ya pili. Juu niliangalia mimi sijaitembea hivyo. Nikaona nimechoka, nimefika home, madhe ameboeka, nimekuja bila pesa. So ikaniuma juu mama wangu ameona nimefanya kazi for even one day na sijapata. Na unajua kazi ya commission ni nimekuuzia hizi, najua pay yangu ni hii. So I went there the second day nikamwambia mwenyewe mimi sitaendelea na kazi. So on date 1 of December 2013 mimi nikaenda pale Nyayo Gardens. Nikasikia kuna World AIDS Day. Kufika pale nikaona, you remember ile uniform ya talent school penye tulikuwa. Mimi nikaona watu wamevaa t-shirt zimebrandiwa. I've never seen something like that. Mimi nilijua tu mtu mmoja amevaa t-shirt, ni mtu mwenye ako na pesa, anajua kuhustle, anajua yani nikaangalia hiyo brand nikaona nikaangalia nitajoin aje sasa talent school. Kuingia hapo hivyo mazee, nikaomba mtu namba, akaniambia wewe kuja audition. Sasa ndio nikaenda Monday. Then I met Mr. Karani. Mr. Karani akaniambia kwa kuwa na wazungu, nikaifanya my level best. Nikasema kama si sahi. Nikaipiga show moja kali ya hatari sana. Kuipiga hivi nikaambiwa sasa wewe join. Sasa I think hapo hivyo ndio tukaanza kuact set books hivyo, kuact set books. Then around the same year ndio tulipatananga na wewe kwa event. I think the second event. The first event ilikuwa I think around hapa maili 6. The second event ni yenye ilikuwa huko ndani kunaitwa Rhino Camp. Rhino Camp.
Yeah, I remember.
Rhino Camp. Sasa hapo si ndio tulikuwa tumeleta sound. Na wewe ndio ulikuwa MC.
Yeah. Hapana, MC nakumbuka MC alikuwa Paula Sika. MC alikuwa Paula Sika, mimi nili entertain. We came, tulikuja na band fulani. Alafu so nikafanya part ya entertainment kidogo. Kwa kalewa bado.
Sasa unaona sasa hiyo time ndio sasa kufunguliwa rehabilitation center huko. The first few people wenye walikuja ilikuwa wewe.
Yes.
Ilikuwa jamaa mwingine mwenye alikuwa anaitwa Solo. By the way Solo ako Thika. He's also doing well. Pia aliondokea. Sasa wacha nikuanzie sasa after hii story venye tumekuja na wewe tukakuja tukafanya event, tukaenda kule ku MC wedding, tukakuja kwa hoteli nyingine tukaachwa tukakaa huko hivyo.
Yeah, I remember those.
Unakumbuka hizo zote?
Mashida
zote hizo. Then ikakuja happen sasa ni kuanza sasa after kumefungwa.
Sasa hii Kenya School of Sports and Talent.
After Kenya Sports and Talent School kumefungwa. Surprisingly, mimi siwezi sema ati kuna wakati nimepitia shida. But kuna wakati nimepitia shida. After my mom passed 2015, hapo sasa ndio nikaanza kuona the reality of life. The reality of life meaning mimi ni mtu mwenye sijazoea ati nimezoea ndio unalishwa, unaona, utapata ukiitisha. There is somebody who is always guiding you in the right way. Fast forward 2015 tukuja sasa 2016, 2017 tukapiga campaigns na wewe. Sasa after 2017 hapo sasa ndio maisha ikaanza kuenda segemnege kidogo. Segemnege si ati maisha ilikuwa mbaya. After tumeenda nikakuwa employed in another school, I started teaching drama, English and literature. So at the end of the day ilibidi mpaka nimeanza kujifunza vitu zingine. So mimi I'm always multi-talented meaning nafanyanga vitu mingi atago. So within a very short period of time nikajipata 2019 sasa ndio sasa shida ilianzia. Mimi nikaangalia kazi ndio hiyo kesi tena imekuja ya shule. Mwenye shule tena ndio inataka kurudishwa kwa mwenyewe. Because the one that my director alikuwa amelis shule.
Yes.
So mimi niache kazi nitoke nje. Na unajua after hapo hivyo 2019 ndio bado COVID ilikuwa imeanza kucheza hapo hivyo. Mimi hiyo 2019 after kutoka shule immediately nilikuwa natembea kutoka Lanet mpaka Kalolenisi on a daily basis, not knowing naenda kufanya nini, having hope ya kwamba nitarudishwa kazi.
Sasa na Mr. Karani. Because I remember Mr. Karani also he had a college.
A teacher's college. A teacher's training college. Yeah. Yes. So I think hapo sasa ndio nilikuwa confused. Bado nitarudishwa kazi kwa sababu ujue lease ilikuwa imeisha. Na hapa mambo ya lease I think unajua. So nilikuwa 50-50. Sikuwa determined like niko sure ya kwamba nitarudi. Naona. Pia yeye mwenyewe hako sure kama itarenewiwa.
But I think even that distance from, if you are talking about kwenye ile shule iko kwa Karani nyumbani, Lanet.
I'm talking about Lanet, Mukuru, kunaitwa Mukuru
hadi Kalolenisi.
Mpaka Kalolenisi unakuja unapitia hii barabara ya unakuja unatokea hapa hivi kama unatokea PCA ya huko ndani, ukuje utokee hivi, utokee hiyo karibu ndio uende utokee free area. Ukitokea free area utembee kidogo, ukatia hapo 58, uteremke utokee Manyani, umefika Kaloleni. See? So I was doing that daily. Then surprisingly nikapatanga hii job zetu za QMC, unajua ilikuwa inakuja moja moja. Mimi nikapatanga job nilipwa 5,000. The only thing that I could do by that time ni kutafuta jiko. Nikaenda nikatafuta, si kupata jiko, ni kutafuta jiko. Nikatafuta jiko, nikaenda hapo center. Si unaona hapa center? Nikanunua jiko ya shimo 3. Nikapata msee mwenye alikuwa ameniadvise kuanza biashara ya kuuza gizzards, mavirenje. Mimi ndio huyo wapi? Kiondo. Kiondo tu hapo kwa stage, hata saa hii kuna watu wenye bado wananijua. Nilikuwa naenda nauzia hapo hivyo tu virenje, sometimes nazichemsha. Unapata wase wote wenye walikuwa walevi hiyo area walikuwa wanakuja kukula uto tu vitu tudogo from me. Naona? But then again nilikuwa determined, kama kuna siku nishainunua stock ya 2,500, nikajipata at the end of the day nimeuza 7k. Hiyo ni biashara yenye hakuna mtu mwenye kwetu ashaijua nilishaifanya. Nilikuwa naifanya tu kusurvive. Then nikiwa on my way, siku moja sijui ni nini iliniingia, nikaenda nikakunywa. Unaona, from Shell nilikuwa na stock yangu hapa kwa highway, on my way to Kiondo. Matatu ikakuja, nilikuwa nimekaa kwa matatu nyuma. Lori sijui ilitokea wapi, gari ilikuja, mimi ndio nilikuwa nipeanwe. Unaona hapa hii side ya dereva hapa hivi, co-driver hapa. Mimi ndio nilikuwa nipeane, juu iligonga, iligonga hapo, nilikuwa nimeketi hapo, vioo zote zikanimwagikia. Vioo kunimwagikia huku hivi zilikuwa zimejaa vioo. So juu ya ile ulevi nikashtuka, nikaanza kupiga nduru. Unaona? So hapo nikajiambia hapa Mungu ni kama anataka kunipea chance. Nikakimbishwa Medi, but surprisingly ni ile tu trauma ya kupata accident. Sijaipata accident. Accident nishaipata tu ni hapa hivi maili 6 hapa, niligonganga punda.
Ukiendesha gari?
Nikiendesha motorbike. Unaona, na sikuumia. So this is the second one, nikapiga nikapata accident. So hiyo siku nikasemanga sitakunywa pombe tena. Sasa hiyo matatu mwenye alikuwa driver alikuwa ananijua, so amenipeleka OC. Mimi baadaye nimekuwa discharge. Mwenye bado anakuja kunitoa huko, jua tu wenye walikuwa wanampigia simu sana ni Mr. Karani ndio alikuja kunitoa. Hakuna kitu yenye tulilipa OC. Unaona? So mimi wanasema ni kama God anakuanga kwa life yangu. Fast forward, ndio hiyo 2018, ndio hiyo nimekuja nimeambiwa corona ndio hii. Ikabidi nimeuzia msee hiyo base, nimeanza kuuza sanitizer. Mimi huyo Nairobi kuuza sanitizer. Sanitizer nimeziuza Utawala nimeziuza Utawala. Sanitizer ndio hizo zikakuja zikakatika. Si unajua hizo ni kitu za season. Si kitu ati unaweza sema ni job yako. Ndio mimi nimerudi Nakuru tena. So after 2021 mimi ndio hiyo nikajipata Naivasha. Kujipata Naivasha nilikuwa referred to with a pastor friend of mine anaitwa Pastor Harrison. Pastor Harrison tukaenda, saizi I think ako Seychelles, he's doing well, and the wife pia ako Naivasha, they are doing well. Pastor Harrison akaniguide, kaniambia sasa Obimbo, hii job ya hoteli inaenda hivi na hivi, wewe utakuja ufanye marketing. Mimi nikakuja nikafanya marketing, kazi ya siku moja nilikuwa nifanye only for one day. Sasa si ndio hiyo nimefanya one day, nimemaliza hiyo one day, ndio hiyo tumeanza kukuja, tumeendelea. After 2 years, 2023, place ikafungwa.
So ebu shikilia hapo pa place kufungwa. Mtazamaji, if you trying to understand the story of Obimbo, Obimbo story yake akileta, kuna mali Obimbo it's like you've come to motivate somebody. Especially hii part yenye umesema enye mimi sijui pia ati hii part enye uliuza virenje. You know, kuna msea kwa hapo home wengine wamemaliza shule. Okay, Obimbo wewe mimi nakujua kuwa kama MC. I don't expect to see you ukiuza virenje. But mtazamaji, if you are there at home, angalia, there is a way of surviving.
There is a way of
kuna njia mingi za kusurvive. I think leo umekaa kumotivate mtu, especially the young generation. Wako pale home, msee, na kuna mwenye ninaongelesha hata saizi. Msee ameamuka, amemaliza, sijui amesomea, sijui nini gani, yeye ni engineer. But every morning akiamuka ni kwa kiti, afungulie TV, amewekewa wifi nyumbani, afungulie TV, agoje mzazi amtafutie kazi. Kuna mtu amefanya catering, saizi anagoja tu kuajiriwa kwa hoteli. My friend, kuna watu wana survive. So we want to take a short break, but when we come back, I know Bibo ataendelea kutupatia story yake, na uko ndani mimi nataka ugrab uto tu motivation. Ati msee ajalala, ati hapa pakiisha anatembea na ile msemo ya kuvunjika kwa mwiko sio mwisho wa kupika ugali. We go for a break, then we'll be back. Don't go away.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
Praise the Lord. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. My name is Pastor Philip Mulinge. I'm a pastor at Mizpah House of Prayer. Have you heard about this book, Preparing for a Godly Marriage? This is a book that I have done, and I want to say that marriages don't fail because there is no love. Marriages largely fail because of no or poor preparation. And many people prepare for a wedding, but how many people prepare for marriage? And that is why God gave me a burden to do this book that will be a blessing to the body of Christ. If you have not gotten this book, you have an opportunity to get it. You can reach out to us and we will give you more details on how you can get the book. The book is available online. Yes, it is available online. So if you're not in the country, you are outside the country, you can get it on seller.com and also on Amazon. This is a must-have book for us to have stable marriages in this generation. God bless you in Jesus' name.
Well, sometimes it's unbearable. And we can choose to do the unthinkable.
Hapa Mungu anaweza saidia tu.
How about you try this instead?
You have been upgraded.
Here, burdens are lifted as soon as you step your feet on this holy ground.
You have been upgraded.
You are upgraded to wait upon and receive from God. Karibu Mizpah, your place of encounter with God.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
Karibu tena kwenye studio. Tuko kwenye kipindi cha juzi ya kuogofya, lakini ya ubimbo inakaa ni kama jana ya kuogofya. So kwa sababu yake si ya miaka ya kale, ni miaka tu ya juzi. So tumefika mahali penye kazi imeisha kule Naivasha ubimbo.
Sasa kazi imeisha Naivasha. I don't have anywhere else to go. Mimi ndio huyo nikajiambia. So bear in mind ni management imechange, ikafika place yenye kumefungwa. Mimi sina way forward. Hiyo place ilikuwa inaitwa Hannah's Grill. So bearing in mind mimi nikiangalia na pia ile nini yangu kidogo, ile knowledge yangu kidogo, nikaamka tu hivi nikaambiwa kibanda ni 500 ya kibanda hizi vibanda zenye watu wanapatiwa. Mimi nikaambiwa kibanda ni 500. So I took a space hapo kwa soko ya huko ya Kenamba. Watu wengi wananijua kwa kama DJ. Juu kwa hiyo hoteli nilikuwa kama marketing, so watu wengi walikuwa wananiita DJ. So at the end of the day unapata nilikuwa na hako kasoko kadogo tu, but nilikuwa napika chapo, maminji, omena, ugali. Yani mimi nilikuwa nakaa yani throughout. Napiga hesabu nilikuwa nakaa na brother sasa alikuwa amekuja kwangu Naivasha. Sasa nikiangalia some few friends wakaniambia, wacha tukuokolee kadhaa tukunulie unga ya siku kidogo. So hiyo unga si yangu ya shopping ya nyumba, ni unga ya kugenerate pesa ya venye nita survive. Then I met another friend of mine, akakuja akaniambia, sasa nataka ukuje unisetie hoteli. Ujue hiyo time yenye nimekaa 2.5 years singefanya marketing peke yake. Ilibidi nimeanza kujifunza vitu zingine kama food production. Hizo ni skills niko nazo. Mambo na pork, mambo ya kuchoma pork. Kama saa hizi ukiniambia kama mimi ukinipatia like setting a standard of a kitchen or a hotel or a restaurant, na kusetia standard unanipatia like 1 kg of pork, nafaa nikutole portions ngapi, umeinunua at this price, nauza at this price. Unaona? So those nitty gritties, chapati moja ukipeana unga kilo moja, ukikuja kufanya hesabu at the end of the month, umetumia gunia 3 za unga ya chapati, imekuletea this profit. Toa overheads, vitu kama hizo. So hizo ni vitu knowledge yenye niko nayo. Kuja nikamfungulia, nikafanya. Sasa huyu ndio alinikoroga kidogo. Nikafunga ile yangu, nikaconcentrate na yake. Yangu ilikuwa kadogo, but sasa yake ilikuwa yenyewe niliweka iko na class. Mahali penye mmefungua hivi mna make sales za 20k a day. Kaangalia, nikafanya. Nikatoka hapo, nikapelekwa hoteli nyingine, nikaibiwa na madam mwingine, akanipeleka hoteli inaitwa Wisbon. Nikafanya huko hivyo for 4 months contract. Katoka hapo. Sasa after kutoka Wisbon, kanipelekwa jamaa mwingine akaniandika kwa hoteli yake, sitamtaja jina. My friend, I was frustrated. Imagine umefanya kazi. Huyu mtu amejua umetoka hoteli kubwa, amekuleta kwa hoteli nyingine, anajua uko na professionalism ya marketing. We ni MC, mpaka tunafanya offer ya weekend kwa hiyo hoteli yake. At the end of the day, huyu jamaa anakosa kukulipa. Nikaanza saa kuchimbiwa na mtu mwenye nimeandika kazi. Juu hiyo time nilikuwa nimewekwa kama assistant manager or rather manager. Juu mimi ndio nilikuwa na run program, nilikuwa na run hiyo show yote. So nikiwa pale nikaanza kuwa frustrated. Unapata wanapigia mdosi simu, wanamwambia Obimbo amekuja late. At the end of the day nimekuja ndio kazi, but ndio nimekuja late. Sijakataa, but kazi itafanyika. After hapo, my friend, I was frustrated. All of a sudden jamaa katokea from nowhere akaniambia, Obimbo asai kula lunch hapa. Staff wengine wanakula, mimi nisikule. All of a sudden Obimbo asiwai interact na customer. All of a sudden saa ya Obimbo kuingia kazi ni 6, kutoka ni saa 4. Those are frustrations. Asiwai enda off. Kakuja nikaanza kunyemwa off. Kajiambia hapa hivi bana, ni kama najiwestia time. Namwambia hakuna haja tukae na wewe, ni kama tuko na madharau. Juu only uko na pesa, acha tu nikuondoke. Nikatoka hapo. Naambia jamaa, uko na deni yangu up to leo. Jamaa anajuanga ako na deni yangu. Nimefanya kazi, haja kulipa. Toka hapo. Sijui kama hiyo time ni pepo ya watu kukunyang'anya pesa ndio ilikuwa imeingia kwa maisha yangu. Unafanya ka job kadogo, mtu anakuambia ndakulipa, na hivyo ndio pesa inaenda. Ilikuwa uchungu. Kwanza kwa hoteli unashinda kwa moto, unashinda umeruka up and down. Jamaa akulipi. Nikatoka hapo nikaandikwa hoteli nyingine tena. Huyo jamaa mpaka nikampelekanga kwa Ministry of Labor.
Amekataa kukulipa.
Amekataa kunilipa. Najaribu kumwambia, and he was very good when he approached me. In fact, he was a friend of mine. Akakuja akaniambia, sasa fanya hivi, niko na hoteli nataka kufungua, and this is where the hotel is, na hivi ndio nataka unisaidie, na hivi ndio nataka unisaidie. Mimi Obimbo ni nani? Marketing strategy yangu nimeenda nimemtafutia customers kwa B&Bs nini ndio au sisi tunaendelea kufanya pale, tunapata orders, yazin hoteli imeanza kurun. Ndio hiyo mwezi wa kwanza akanilipa vizuri. Mwezi wa pili, ngoja niko na project nafanya, sijui ngoja niko na project nafanya. Huyo mtu alifanya mpaka saa hizi as we speak. Nilifungiangwa nyumba, naenda namlilia, namwambia nyumba yangu imefungwa, tafadhali nilipe hata kama ni 3,000 kwa ile pesa yangu yenye nakudai. Unajua hii ni hoteli ya pili nafanya bila kulipwa. Nimelipwa tu mwezi wa kwanza kunifunga macho. Namwambia tafadhali nilipe. Ananipeleka hivi, alafu jua alikuwa Mkisi. Unajua vitu ni ya kuongea tu na hakuna kitu kubwa. Yani to him there was nothing big. Yeye bora tu ukuje, ukule, uko sawa. Mimi namwambia mimi sitaki chakula. Mimi nataka pesa nilipe nyumba. Naona? kuna vitu zilikuwa zina happen kwa life yangu saa hiyo, sita mention vitu zingine kama relationship, but sasa nikiangalia pia mimi I need to be my well-being ina depend na hii kazi, na hii kazi ndio bado nategemea nikae vizuri, nikule, nilale vizuri. Unajua hata usipooga siku mbili ama hata I think wewe unajua usipooga hata siku mbili, hata ukiwa umesongwa na vitu kwa kichwa, bado mental health yako haitakuwa fiti.
Sure.
Unajua hivyo? My friend, nilianza kukonda. Naambia jamaa nilipe, ndio huyo tumeenda. Na ujue kila siku nikienda kwa labor offices, ni kuenda naenda foot. Nikiwa Naivasha. Naenda mguu. Natoka Guestin na teremka mpaka town kwa labor offices. Nakaa, anapigiwa simu, anaandikiwa summons. Huyo ndio mtu mwenye alinifrustrate kwa maisha yangu kabisa. I'm talking about last year. Hapa June, July, August, September, October, November hapo. Huyo jamaa alinifrustrate. Chakula nikikula ataniandika kwa deni. Na ujue nafanya kazi kwa hoteli, ni kama venye unasikianga huwezi fanya kazi kwa shamba na ukose kupata kenye unapata kwa shamba. So jamaa ananiandika nikikula hata lunch. Nimekula lunch ya 100. Mwisho wa mwezi ataandika na akate.
Na unafanya kwa hoteli?
Nafanya kwa hoteli.
What?
Nilikuwa ninasikia ni kama nimeisha. Nilikonda. Then surprisingly, unakumbuka ile place yenye nilikuwa nimekuambia ilikuwanga imefungwa, ikanunuliwa na mtu mwingine, the same hotel. Unaona? So the same hotel ikanunuliwa na mtu mwingine, ika happen that mimi nikuje niwasaidie marketing. Unaona? Ikabidi niwasaidie marketing. Kuwasaidia marketing ndio sasa ikakuwa nimeitwa huko. Nikafanya for 2 months. Nikajiambia sasa hapa penye imefika, itabidi sasa nimerudia Mungu. Juu ni kama maybe kuna kitu yenye nafanya yenye haimfurahishi ama nini. So after some very many nights out, nililala like 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks. Hii ni kitu yenye hata
kulala aje?
Si nimekuambia ule jamaa, huyo jamaa Mkisia alifanya nyumba yangu ikafungwa. Sina place ya kulala, namwambia nilipe ndio at least nipate mali, nilipe nyumba yangu ni at least nipate mali pa kulala. Jamaa namwambia haski. Mwishowe ilibidi nimeongea na soja fulani. Huyo soja mpaka wa leo naendanga nikiweza pata time Naivasha naenda natafuta namba yake. Juu hiyo time siku hata na simu. Juu unapata shida zikianza kutafuta, zinakukumba. Unapata simu ilivunjika, hata pesa ya kabambe hauna, unashinda ukiomba simu, ndio hiyo hata nguo hauna, nini. Yaani shida zilikuja zikanikumba tu like hivi tu zote once, ni kama zilikuwa zimetumwa kwangu. Naambia soja fanya aje? Wacha nijisukume hapa kando, nilale hapa na wewe. Soja ananipatia kikaton, kilikuanga kikaton kikubwa kibox. Simi bora tu nilale alafu asubuhi na uso niende nione kama ndapata kazi.
Sasa umeachana na kazi, sasa unatafuta kazi places zingine.
So ujue ukienda kwa labor wanakuadvising ukiendelea past hapa ujamaa hata kulipa hii pesa yote. Juu kuna charges huwa zinaongezeka. Definitely. Unaona? So mimi wakani advise wachana na yeye kabisa. But sasa summons bado alikuwa anapatiwa. Bado anapatiwa summons. Haendi. Huyo ndio mtu mwenye alifanya. Mimi nikaenda soja ananikunjia carpet, box. Tunalala hapo na yeye. Yeye akichunga, mimi na asubuhi naamka nikapatanga job hapo place inaitwa hapo Kenamba bado kwa hiyo hoteli penye iliuzwa. Sasa si mimi ndio huyo tena nimekuja tena ndio huyu nimefanya miezi 2. Nikasema hapana, acha nirudi Nakuru. Nilikuja kaa nimekonda. Hii ni Januari ya hii mwaka nakwambia. Januari ya hii mwaka. Kuja kama nimekonda. Nikajiambia wacha sasa nirudie Mungu. Nijue mbivu na mbichi. Nijue kenye watu wengine wanatafuta kwa Mungu ni nini. My brother anaitwa Mr. Njogu and the wife anaitwa Bretta. They received me because I'm their brother. Ndio kuja tukae tufanye kazi. I'm telling you, since January mpaka saa hii mwili imerudi. Mwili imerudi. My health is stable. My mental health, nikisema health naongelelea my mental health is stable. I'm also looking at kazi penye nafanya pia environment iko fiti. Na siwezi kudanganya ya kwamba ati sijaona mkono wa Mungu.
But before that, there was a time I had invited you kwa hii kipindi. Ulikuwa Naivasha. Ni kwa hizo mahoteli tu?
Ni kwa hizo mahoteli. Sasa unajua hiyo time kuna time yenye ulikuwa umeni-invite. Sasa nilikuwa
2 times, alafu unakosa kunini.
Sasa hii ya pili ndio ni yenye nilikuwa nimesema mpaka nikoshua tindakuja, sena simu ikaibiwa. Yani nilikuwa ni kama shetani ameniekea multibet. Unaona, ameniekea multibet. So right now I'm working under Bounty Supermarket. Bounty Supermarket kuna ya Rescos na kuna ya Kiamunyi. And we are also having new branches that we are opening. On your way to Everready na pia ingine iko Barnabas.
Wow.
So zote tunafungua zote. I'm employed there and it's a very good place. Great savings every day courtesy of Bounty Supermarket.
Yes. Wow. Na hiyo Bounty Supermarket tutakuja.
Hiyo lazima mkuje. Tunafungua end of this month ama next month, early next month.
Yes.
May.
And especially if wamehold jamaa after kupitia yoyote. I think that's a place where we should meet that jamaa.
Lazima.
When ameweka hiyo supermarket. So currently you are working there?
Currently I'm working there, but bado nafanya pia mambo na MCing. I'm also doing voice overs. I'm also doing small marketing. I'm also doing kuna watu wanani consult about mambo na supplies, mambo na pork, mambo na mimi napenda mambo na pork sana, napenda mambo na chicken hivyo, white meat in short.
Okay. So Obimbo, umepitia, you see at your age, Obimbo sio mzee sana. Obimbo ni Gen Z bado. And at your age Obimbo, you freely touched part and in affect a lot of young people out there. Hebu tuambie after sijui kupata nini, and wewe uko hapo umepata frustration mpaka umelala na soja 2 weeks na bado una survive. What advice can you give these young people?
Acha niwaambie kitu moja watu wanafaa wajue ni the more unakaa na watu, the more unapata experience. Experiences zetu zinaweza kuwa different na za wengine. Kuna mwenye anaweza maliza tu hivi shule apate amepata kazi. Usiwahi give up. Usiwahi give up. If God has given you a second chance, usiwahi jaribu ku give up. Another thing, kama kuna kitu, wacha nikuambie saa hizi there is a trend yenye ina trend saa hizi. Watu wanapitia vitu na hawataki kuongea. Unaona kama mimi niko na shida, nikutafute wewe tuongee. Naweza kosa kuongea na ndugu yangu, niongee na wewe mwenye ni beshte yangu. Unaona? Na saa hizi tumetoka ile enzi ya niokole 50. Tumetoka huko. Saa hizi penye tuko ni iso nimefanyia kazi, nipatiane iso tena hivyo. Bana. Iso nimefanyia kazi, nipeane so tena iende tu hivyo tu, hapana. Saa hizi trend yenye iko, acha nikuambie. Vijana saa hizi wako tu kwa nyumba. Avieta. Msee ana bet, anachukua pesa, anawekelea yote. At the end of the day, anaingia kwa loans. Hiyo ndio kitu ina trend saa hizi. Endo uangalie tukitoka hapa. Uangalie number 1 trending topic ni gani in Kenya right now as from yesterday up to now. Vijana tuanze kujituma. Na cheni waambie, ukiweka Mungu mbele, alafu make your circle small. Kama mimi saa hizi kuna watu wengi sana wenye tulikuanga tunafanya vitu mingi nao, but saa hizi I made my circle small. And making my circle small si ati kuavoid watu, si kuavoid watu, ni ile wewe mwenyewe unafaa uanze kurebuild. And rebuilding means coming back stronger. Saizi where we are heading to, it's all about looking good. But after looking good, tunaweza kuja tukae chini mimi na wewe tuseme tunaweza kunywa chai. Tunaweza ita vijana tuwaambie, tunaweza wa advice. Tunaweza ita wase wenye wako deep into drugs tuwaambie mazee hizi vitu hazisaidii. Unaona? Because right now the society that we are in, society ya kuona Obimbo amevaa miwani, Jose pia anataka kuvaa miwani, nimevaa viatu za 2000, Jose pia anataka nivae kama yeye, hatuwezi kuwa safe.
Sure.
Accept the way uko. Mi kama sahi nikiangalia venye nimevaa viatu ni za 500, nikiangalia pia shati ni ya 400. Ukienda mtumba hata unaweza pata ya 150. Kuna ingine kwanza naipenda, na nitoanga kwanza kakitambi vizuri, alafu na ni ya 150. At the end of the day, live within your limits. Hiyo ndio kitu yenye naweza sema.
Yeah.
Living within your limits. Na ukianza kupray, hata saa hii mimi wanasema, ukianza kupray, God will never lose you. Hakuna siku yenye ati umeenda mambo na Mungu hivi, wewe uende mbaya. Vijana wacheni niwaambie, tujitume.
Wow.
Kujituma na kukua open minded. Kukua open minded inamaanisha unaweza fanya anything yenye ina generate pesa, na unaweza fanya anything yenye God anakusaidia nayo.
Wow. So at least young people, especially leo umekuja hapa kupreachia the young people. Ati stories za jaba, stories za kubet kila wakati. Ama mimi waambia watu hivyo Obimbo. I had an askari who is friend of mine. Alikuwa askari. Huyo jamaa alienda ndiye awache kazi ya uaskari. Walikuwa kwa yeye na marafiki zake. Walikuwa kwa yeye na marafiki zake kwa Nairobi wakifanya patrol. Akauliza rafiki yake, hebu niambie nyumba ya askari yenye unaona kwa hizi gorofa, uniambie tu sisi ni askari, tunaweza taka kukua kama mtu fulani. I'm not trying to say that kazi ya askari ni mbaya, but yeye level yake penye yeye alifika, alianza kujiuliza hiyo maswali. And it is good. He started from somewhere being askari. Then huyu jamaa akatoka. Akakuja venye askari wanakaa kwa supermarket. Siku moja akajiuliza aje, naweza ni kuwapa young people wanaleta do. Unajua kuna wivu mzuri. Alisikia hii wivu mzuri ya young people wanaleta do. Mimi nimekaa hapa the whole day. You know, kila mahali penye huko kuna kitu inakupea changamoto. Kuna askari mwenye ako hapo hivyo na ameendelea vizuri kabisa. But kuna kitu yenye Mungu wekea mtu. If you are not supposed to be there, Mungu atakuchokora hadi uende.
And wacha nikwambie, saizi ukiona wewe ni kijana na uko kwa timu ya niko na 100, mwingine 100, tuchange mzinga, there is a big problem.
Kuna shida.
Ati niko na so 5, ni wewe kuja na so 2, niko na so 3, tuchange tukunywe mzinga, haitakusaidia.
There is a big problem there. Tafuteni kufikiria something else. Jiulize aje, kwa hii jaba yenye mnakaa kila siku mnachana jaba. Hebu niambie ni nani huyo, mjiulize role model wako ni mgani mwenye alichana gomba na akafaulu. Ask yourself, alichanaga gomba akafaulu.
Wacha nikwambie, itafika time yenye unaona kama saa hizi watu wanaona fun in those things.
Yes.
Kama sisi in our early 20s, hizo times zetu tulikuwa tunakutana na wewe huko hivyo. We had everything yenye tulikuwa tunatumia huko hivyo. Tulikuwa unapata like hiyo time tukitaka kitu tunapata.
Sure.
But at the end of the day si tulichoka nazo.
na tukarudi kurealize it was a wastage of time.
It was a wastage of time.
So before you start wasting your time, sisi tumekuambia ni wastage of time. Wacha kutaka kuexperience ama kuexperiment. Atuone kama ni ukweli ni wastage of time. We were there.
We know the consequences.
We know it's a waste of time.
We have been in that river.
Yes.
And we know where the stones lie.
So before we wind up, I also want to na ukienda uambie mdosi wako tuko na hii program yenye inaendelea. We have a program tuko na we were reaching out to watu, unajua mimi nilikuwa mlevi na this I'm making it as an announcement especially for people of Bahati. Hapo ndio tunaanzia, it is our Jerusalem. Zile joint tulikuwa tunakunywa, now we are doing a road show. Tunafanya road show 27th of May. Tunafanya road show ya kurudi huko kutangazia wasee there is hope. Kuambia wasee tulikuwa hivyo. Kuna some, do you know Bimbo, kuna watu literally watu wenye tulikuwa tunakunywa nao. Now mimi I'm counting 9 years now heading to 10 years but still mtu niliwacha huko bado anakunywa. Kitu ya kwanza I thank God ameweka huyo mtu hai. Now we want to go there kuambia after nitoke this is whom I am. Hivi ndio niko sasa. After nitoke wapi? So we are going to preach to send the word of hope kwa hao. We have a road show and itasimama kwa hizo centers. Tukiambia watu na hatu mind kukuwa na kitu kama hiyo supermarket. Tukisema we have been syndicized by this supermarket. Will not mind. So Obimbo, wewe ni Muluya, wewe unajua mtu alisomea Western. Salimia watu wawili watatu tufunge kipindi.
Ningependa kwanza kutuma salamu. Ningependa kwanza kutuma salamu. Kwa watu wote ambao wananisikiza wakiwa pale nyumbani. I want to say hi to my family, Mr. Njogu Douglas, Madam Bretta Njogu, the family of Bounty Supermarkets Limited, ya Rescos, ya Kiamunyi, not forgetting pia Bounty zenye zinakama, pia kuna watu wenye wako hapo saizi wana watch, and my entire friends who are watching me right now. I want to tell you that Obimbo loves you and God loves you so much. Adios, amigos.
Thank you very much. Na tutaendea Slim. Slim, kuna rafiki yetu tunaita Slim. Tutaendea Slim. Hata yeye lazima anone sasa. So, mtazamaji, kufikia hapo hatutaongeza na mitume wala na nabii, ila tukukoma. Niseme asante kwa kuchagua runinga ya Mizpah TV.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
From the moment you arrive, you will feel it. The serenity, the quietness, the godly atmosphere of our prayer center. Maybe you've been carrying a lot, searching for a place to finally lay it all down. A place to rest before moving forward.
Hi. Welcome to Mizpah Prayer Center.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
It's such an honor to see you.
I'm pleased.
May I help you, please?
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Hello. Hi.
Here, we offer you uninterrupted peace, a silent place to commune, to pray, to hear God's voice. Karibu Mizpah, your mountain of encounter with God.
I pray that with your eyes open in Jesus' mighty name to see that all things are possible. So all things are possible to them that are born again.
We have been called to serve God freely and without fear. We therefore invite you for deliverance prayer sessions at Mizpah House of Prayer, Bahati, Nakuru.
Wewe ustahili kubeba maombi ya kishetani. You have power kupitia damu ya Yesu. Wewe una nguvu.
Join Apostle Jessica Ranja and Pastor Hudson Chihusa for in-person meetings every Thursday at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. and encounter the power of God over you and your family.
There are things you receive them not because you pray. It's just because you align yourself with the truth of God.
You may also join us online on our social media platforms and on Mizpah TV. Contact us on 0727 766 553 for accommodation bookings and more information. You will win in your life, your family, and your ministry, for the Lord is on your side.
Ninaamini tunapotafuta uso wa Bwana, makusudi ya Mungu yanashuka, ulinzi wa Mungu unashuka. Wakati unaanza kuomba, mbingu inakuwa attentive kwa maombi ya watakatifu. Mbingu inakuwa attentive kwa maombi ya kila yeyote aombaye kwa imani.
People are saying marriage is a scam.
Marriage is good.
It's a good thing.
Oh my goodness.
Please tell us.
It is not bad to love somebody that looks closer to your parents.
I saw there's someone on social media, such a lady commented, akamwambia, wewe ni mama's boy and we're not looking for mama's boys in today's generation.
So many people have bad examples of the people that they are following on social media to mentor them in the area of marriage are wrong.
So the people that you follow,
Ni kama mtu aseme I want to shower but I don't want to remove my clothes. So if you want to shower, you have to know that you have to, you know, You think about marriage, it's about committing your life to someone. You know, now you cannot escape commitment. If you're a Christian and you love God, look for Christian marriages that are doing well, of people that are sober. Because again, kuna watu wanajiita wa Kristo lakini pia one of the best gift that God can give you is the gift of marriage. I think I believe that so highly.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
Hello and welcome. It's yet another wonderful Wednesday, the day that the Lord has made, that we may rejoice and be glad in it. I'm your host, Mrs. Nganga, a counseling psychologist, and this is a space where we talk about what is happening in our lives and trying to understand it from different perspectives, not just spiritual but also psychological. And for today, I would want to start by acknowledging the fact that as a nation, that is Kenya, we have been in a period of mourning and it is continuing. As Mizpah House of Prayer, we offer our condolences to all the families that are grieving. And you realize that when death occurs, there are many people that are affected. And for this particular case, I want to acknowledge the fact that in the school environment, there are many people who have been with these girls, who have taken them as their own children. We have all the workers in that school. We have the teachers. We have the administrators. We have all the people in the village around that place. And we want to acknowledge the fact that all these people are experiencing grief in their different ways. So we pray from here that the Lord will give you strength and take you through and heal your hearts. And therefore for today, because of what is happening in our country, that is what we are going to address. We'd want to help people to understand when death occurs or when any kind of loss occurs, how do we handle that? What is happening to us? And therefore, because of that, I want us to try and understand grief. When you lose something, you grieve. You go through the period of mourning that does not necessarily have a time limit. And how is it experienced? And so our topic for today, we are going to look at the multidimensional nature of loss and grief. And just for reminders, I've talked about loss and grief in other previous episodes, and therefore be on the lookout on our previous episodes because we have them in YouTube and we also have them in Facebook. So this is a continuation of some of the topics that we have been handling. So the multidimensional nature of loss and grief. What does this mean? It means that grief through loss of whatever you lose, whether it's an individual or you have lost property, we look at it in different aspects. It's not just the emotions that we feel. It's not only the thoughts that we go through, but we have all the holistic aspects of a human being reacting. Because when we lose, especially through death, it brings in a disruption of our normal way of looking at things. We react in different ways, and that is what I want us to look at today. So when death occurs, we react emotionally, we react physically, we react socially, cognitively, and also spiritually. So a human being is holistic, and therefore I would like us to help the people who are going through this process, the whole of Kenya and beyond, to understand what is happening in the lives of these people. It could be you who is watching me, and I request that you don't switch off, gather strength, and we trust that by the end of this episode, you have gotten information that can help you to process grief. So I want us to look at those different dimensions. And the first one, I want us to look at the emotional dimensions, because this is what we are most familiar with. And when loss occurs, and I want us to be specific about death, one of the areas that is affected is our emotions. We experience different emotions. We say that we undergo through a roller coaster of emotions. At first, maybe you can get shock, you go through anger, because in our minds we have a lot of questions, and we can feel angry maybe at ourselves. We can feel angry with the people maybe we think or we are sure they caused the death of somebody. Maybe it is through an accident, and therefore you are angry with that person. Or you could also be angry with God, because according to your faith, you know that God is a protector, but something has happened. Or maybe in a different scenario, somebody was sick and you have trusted God for their healing, but death has occurred. So a person can be angry with God. And I'm here to tell you that it happens, it is normal. You could also be feeling guilty of things you should have done, or or the things that you did, and maybe you feel they contributed. I want to be specific for our case in Kenya, and I want to let us know that for those parents whose girls are in court, or they are in a cell today, that they are also going through grief. So I would request that even those people who are handling them, and even us as Kenyans, that we be gentle with those parents. They are also going through their own emotions. And one of the emotions they could be going through is the emotion of guilt. Guilt that maybe in their parenting they have shortcomings. Maybe they think there are things they should have done and they never did. So guilt. We have the teachers, we have the administrators, we have the board of management. All these people, we look at them as people who has been irresponsible, and the guilt could be weighing upon them. So I'm here to let us know that a lot of people react differently and they go through a lot of emotions. And another emotion is confusion, a lot of confusion, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to think, not knowing what to make out of it. And sometimes even you can have a confusion of emotions. You can feel emotional numbness that you are not feeling anything, you block. And sometimes you don't understand why maybe you are not reacting the way people expect you to react. Confusion, emotional confusion. So another dimension is the cognitive or the mental dimension, because when death occurs, a lot of thought processes go through our mind. We ask a lot of questions. We speak to ourselves a lot. And of course, there are many things going on around us. And as a result, they also make us have a lot of thoughts in us. So, and you may have difficulties concentrating. You may have difficulties making a decision. And as I go along helping us to understand, I can also put in bits of information there, some of the things that we can do. It's amidst these difficulty in mentally, we are not able to make decisions and choices, that other people come in. When people are going through grief, the people who are supporting them, the support systems, the people who come to mourn with people are very important, because they help in making decisions and making choices. Why? Because this person may not be in a position. You ask them something, what they need, they tell you to do whatever you feel is supposed to be done. You are there to think for them at that particular time. Another mental issue, they be preoccupation with the loss, preoccupation with the thoughts of the person who was departed. So this is normal. Thinking about that person, their goodness, or whatever you did together, whatever you said together, your last moments, all those, preoccupation with thoughts of that person who has passed on. There could also be a lot of questioning, like we have already said, why God has done that, why all those things have happened. So all these things are normal, and you want to say that when you find yourself going through this, it is important to understand that it is normal, it is a normal reaction. So let's look at another dimension, and that is the physical dimension. So our emotions and our thoughts also affect the physical. So physically, people do react through loss, and they can lose appetite. You may feel you don't want to eat anything. Understand those people. Maybe they feel thirsty. They have things that they have not been experiencing. So, but one of them is loss of appetite, or they may want to eat a particular thing. Maybe they just want water. They just want something sugary. Or if they were taking sugar, they might find they no longer want sugar. So all those are normal reactions that are around the appetite of that person. They may not be able to sleep properly. Sleep disturbances are normal. Having headaches, having body aches, including stomach aches, joints, and all that. Being restless. They are not able to sit in one place. And even getting very fatigued and getting very exhausted. And I want to point out here that grief is a process. So as I'm talking about these dimensions, we are not talking about just what happens immediately after somebody has, died and you are there. It is a process that can take several days, several weeks, several months, several years. So as we are talking about these dimensions, we are looking at a whole, a continuum of time, from the time that death happens to all the days that follow after that. Some of these things may not be seen immediately. They might occur, like being very fatigued, being very exhausted. It might come way after, such that a person feels they do not have energy to do anything. They don't have appetite. They withdraw from people. They don't want to talk. All those are physical reactions that a person may experience. So let's look at another aspect, and that is the social aspect. Socially. So this is about the way we relate with other people. Death can make you feel different. It can make you start relating with people differently. Maybe you have lost a child as a mother. Supposing it was the only child, it means now you've been left without a child. So when you are with mothers that you are used to, you may not be able to relate with them the way you used to relate before. They may not understand, but you feel different. And it's important to understand. If you have lost a husband, the social interactions will be different. If you have lost a wife, you may feel different. And the thing is, this may only be happening in your own world. And maybe the people around you may not be able to understand how you are feeling. And one of the indicators is physical. You withdraw from social interactions, from the friends that you used to be with, from the people you were interacting with. In the workplace, you may be withdrawn. Why? Because socially, the absence of that person who has passed on means different things. Maybe you are another parent and you have lost a child, maybe who was well-aged and had a family, somebody who was supporting you. All this, the way you take it yourself, may make you interact with people in a very different level. Why? Because of what the meaning you are attaching to the loss of that person. So also the family dynamics, they change. Family dynamics. If it's maybe a husband who has lost a wife and you have children, family, the way you relate with your children will change, because now you are the father and the mother. If it is the wife, the same. You become the father and the mother. So the way you relate with your children, the way you relate with your other relatives, the way you relate with other people will be affected, or you'll find yourself relating in a very different way because of what has changed. So the last one, the other one, not the last one, I want to look at the spiritual dimension. So many people wrestle with spiritual questions during grief. They ask God, like I had said, many questions. How did God allow this? Where was God in my suffering? What happens after death? And can I still trust God? So these are normal questions. When you find yourself asking that, it's not because you have failed in your faith. It's about being honest with yourself. If you read the Psalms of David, you realize that in a lot of Psalms, David was honest with himself. He expressed how he felt to God. He lamented to God. He was a friend of God. He loved God. But yet, when he went through loss, he mourned Saul, he mourned Jonathan, he mourned his son Absalom, he also mourned the death of the child they had birthed with Bathsheba, and many other losses that David went through. And David is one case in the Bible where we see, deep expression of grief in all these dimensions. Spiritually, he fasted, he cried to God, he lamented to God. So I want to let you know that it is normal to question. But as the Bible says in Psalms 34 verse 18, that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He's close to the brokenhearted. That even in our suffering and in our loss, the Bible says that is when God is close. God is never away from us, even during the time of suffering and during the time of loss. Another example I would want to give is the example of Job in the Bible. It is a classic story of the experience of loss. Job in the Bible doesn't just lose property. He loses his entire, family. And he asked questions. There were people who came and stayed with him. But at the end of it, if you look at Bible chapter 42, he made peace with God. He made peace with God. That even in the midst of suffering, it reminds us that God is present with us and never leaves us, even in the time of loss and grief. And I want to look at the last dimension, and that is the behavioral dimension. When we undergo through loss, and having looked at the way we react emotionally, mentally, socially, physically, spiritually, we find that our behavior changes. How does it change? I have mentioned again and again, one of the behaviors we might find is withdrawal, keeping to ourselves. Crying is behavior. You find yourself crying alone, not just even after the burial, even after. When you have memories, when you look at the pictures, when you go to a place where that person used to be, they are no longer there. It could be a child. They are no longer in the bedroom. It's your spouse. They are no longer there. You see their clothes. Crying. You also find that some people can be unusually very busy. Why are they very busy? To preoccupy themselves so that they remove their mind from thinking about the departed person. So behavior changes. So if you are around these people, it's important to note these behavior changes, understand what they are going through, and maybe we shall look into the next episode what are some of the things that you can be able to do. And one of the key things is being present and being a support for that person. Sometimes they don't want to be told things. They only want a person to be present with them. Like the friends of Job did. The friends of Job came and sat with him for a period of time, saying nothing. When a person has gone through loss, they may not want to hear anything. They just want the ministry of presence. In the Bible, in the book, we find that in the New Testament we have Jesus. When Lazarus died and he went to the home of Lazarus, he wept with the family. So what does that mean? It means that we need to be present. We need to be the support system. And therefore, as we come to the end of this program, I'm calling upon each one of us and appreciating also the fact that you've been present for those families. If you're in the neighborhood, be present with those families that are undergoing through loss. Because of whatever is happening with them, you can think for them, make decisions for them, and do things for them. Because what is happening to them is not normal. They are trying to develop a coping mechanism. And as they do that, be there like Jesus was when he wept with the family of Lazarus. This has been the Counselor's Desk with me, Mrs. Jane Nganga. And stay tuned and make sure you are with us next Wednesday for a continuation of this program. For now, it is bye from us, and may the Lord do you good. Amen.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.